All right, so this morning what we are looking at is decimals to percents, percents to decimals, fractions to percents, all that sort of thing going on with it, okay? So, pull that down here. Let's first make sure that we're up top where it says name, date, and class. We are going to start with decimal to percent and percent to decimal. Those are the two easiest. So it says take your decimal, times it by 100, you get the percent. So you can do one of two things. You can times this by 100 in your head, you can times it by 100 on a calculator, or you can just know that if I multiply by 100, I move the decimal 2 places to the right. So that gives me 48%. Move it 2 places to the right, and that gives me 8%. Move it 2 places to the right, and that gives me 256%. Okay? Now, if we look at percent to decimal, instead of multiplying by 100, it says to divide by 100. So instead of going 2 places to the right, the decimal would be here, and we're going to go 2 places to the left. So you can either put 97 hundredths or 0.97, or you can put that 0 in front. Okay? Or 9%, 1, 2. What do you do when you have this space right here and there's no number? What number do you put in there? A 0, good. So we should have 0 and 9 hundredths. Okay, the last one, we're going to move it 2 places to the left, and it should go in between the 1 and the 5. That is perfectly fine. Okay, next we are going to go, we'll just go around in the circle. We'll do fraction to percent. So it says numerator divided by denominator. So if you do 3 divided by 4 in your calculator, that gives you 0.75 or 0.75. Then to change a decimal to a percent, right, we times it by 100. That's what we just talked about right here. So we're going to move that decimal 2 places to the right, and that gives us 75%. Do the same thing here. 2 divided by 5 gives us 0 and 4 tenths. Move the decimal 2 places to the right or multiply by 100. And we just talked about if we don't have a number here, we're just going to add a 0. So that would be 40%. Okay, now a percent to a fraction. Again, let's change that to a decimal, right? Let's kind of make it a little bit easier for us. So I'm going to move it 2 places to the left, and that gives me 0 and 9 hundredths. And notice how I said 0 and 9 hundredths? So that means that it would be 9 over 100. And in this case, we can't reduce it. Okay, do the same thing here. 1, 2. So it'd be 0 and 97 hundredths. So again, that'd be 97 over 100. Move it 2 places to the left. That would be 1 and 25 hundredths. So this is actually going to be a mixed number. 1 and 25 hundredths. It's actually going to be a mixed number. And so what that's going to look like is one whole number, 25 over 100. And we can actually reduce that fraction. We can divide both of those by 25. And that gives us 1 and 1/4. And that's going to be our final answer. We are almost done. Keep it trucking along. Decimal to fraction, okay? Just like how we did, oopsies, I didn't write it. This would be 1.25, and that goes into that. So just like how we did these decimals into fractions, this would be read as 0 and 6 hundredths. So we would have 6 over 100. Can I divide anything by 6 and 10 or 100? Yes. We can divide them both by 2. That gives me 3 over 50. This would be 48 hundredths. divide those both by 2, and that gives you 24 over 50, divided by 2 again, gives you 12 over 25. Okay? This is 125 thousandths. 125 thousandths. So see how these two were a little bit different as decimals to fractions. This one had a whole number. This one does not. So make sure you kind of keep that in mind with percents and stuff. So we're going to divide both of these by 25. And that's going to give us 5 over 40. I think we've already done this problem before, which gives us 1/8. Okay, the very last one is fraction to decimal. So it says it, right? Numerator divided by denominator. Numerator divided by denominator. So do 7 divided by 8, and you get 0 and 875 thousandths. And do 4 divided by 5, and you get 0 and 2 tenths. So that whole entire circle has been filled out. That whole entire circle has been filled out.